Shavua Tov, B'Shem Hashem Naseh v'Natzliach, Be'ezrat Hashem, may the shuur be in the success of Am Yisrael, all the soldiers and all the people that are still being held in captivity. Today's halacha in the Shulchan Aruch HaMusar in Halacha Zayin is a very, very powerful halacha only because we have this so much today that where you have people that to whatever level of observant they are, they come and they try to tell other people what to do, but they themselves are not still holding there. I'll give you a few examples. You have a father that tells his son, don't use your phone during davening, but you yourself are using it. Don't speak during davening. Yeah, but you speak during davening. Go and learn Torah. Yeah, but you're not learning Torah. And as parents, it's a very, very big problem when we tell our children to do something and we're not doing it. Why? Because if you tell a child to do something and you're not doing it, or you tell a child, don't smoke because it's bad for you. Yeah, but I'm doing it. I don't smoke. I'm just giving, again, Rabotai, I'm not Chas Shalom judging anyone. I'm just trying to say it's hard to tell somebody not to do something or to do something when you yourself are not doing it. You have to be able to have passed that test in order to be able to say to the child. One time they said that Rabbi Wallace in Zatzal, he had to go, to a rehab center where people, if I remember correctly, where people had addiction problems or other rehab centers, alcoholic problems or drug problems, whatever it might have been, and people have to come out of it. Everybody can do it. It's only a matter of will. So as he went there and he tried to educate them on the severity of the abuse, whatever they were doing. So one guy got up there and he said, Rabbi, tell me, you ever did drugs in your life? Were you ever a habitual user? Did you ever fall into these things? Into substances and whatever, all the things that they were talking about? So the rabbi says, no, how am I supposed to know? I never did these things. So he said, if you never did it, how are you educating us on something that you never did and you want us to come out of it? If you would bring me somebody who went through it and came out of it, I could understand. But you, Rabbi, never did it. And you know the power and you know the beauty of Rabbi Wallace was, Rabotai, is just, he was very smart. And he said, and the guy was right. And the guy was 100 right. Immediately he had to call somebody who was once at this point where he was addicted to drugs and came out of it, so he can be the one giving the lecture, and he didn't give that lecture. Because in reality, if a person doesn't, basically put it like this, how does a person feel what the other person is going through if he himself never goes through it? You know, I had the zechut to meet Rabbi Elishayev, his father, Rabbi Shmuel Elishayev, and Rabbi Raphael Elishayev. They literally flew out to Miami on Erev Shabbat. And whatever, we were speaking to him, and he wanted to know how I became a rabbi. Okay. So I told him, I went to yeshiva, and then I came out, and I went to public school, and college, whatever it was, whatever the situation was. And he said, do you understand why Hashem made it that way? Why did that happen like that? Because I told him I started very late in life. I started learning very late in life. Whatever it was, everything was late. He says, not necessarily late. He says, the reason that you went through that, now you are able to relate to people that are there now. You can tell them that something is not right only because you went through it. He says, you can have a person, a Talmid Chacham, or even a rabbi, he actually told me, that he sits and learns Torah, he's book smart, but he's not street smart. It's two different worlds. There's a difference when you are street smart and then book smart, versus all your life you're book smart. It's two different things. He says, and Hashem gave you that zechut, I don't know if it's zechut, but that Hashem gave you that merit to be able to go through that in order for you to be able to relate to other people now going through that. So you'll be able to actually bring many, many more people back because you once were there. But if a person was never there, how can he say to somebody else, don't do this, don't do that? Rabotai, like the saying goes, it's easier said than done. In any event, Rabotai, I want to read for you over here the importance before we try to tell anyone what to do. We have to know, we have to be able to first do it. Because like I said before, if we're not doing it, it's a very big problem. We basically cool off the situation. We cause a desecration of Hashem's name. We show no importance to what we're saying. Imagine you go to a doctor, and the doctor tells you, you know how bad it is to eat fatty foods, but he himself is a very big doctor, and he eats fat foods. I one time went to a seminar, many years ago when I just got married. I went to a seminar with my wife. It's like, they have this gas, Shabbatons, whatever it is. And there was a rabbi that I looked up to him, and he was speaking about how you have to guard your health, and X, Y, whatever it was. It was a beautiful shiur. I was inspired. But on Motzei Shabbat, that inspiration left like the wind. When I came out, I saw him standing by the hotel door outside under the awning, because it was raining, and he was smoking. Now I understand this, again, I don't know what smoking is like, so I can't really say, yes, people have habits, I should have learned out only the good. Yes, everything is correct. Yes, I should have taken was the good. But for some reason, when I saw him smoking, and when he spoke about the topic of how you have to guard your health, one and one didn't go together. In a way, it actually cooled me off from everything that he said. It was a heartbreaker for me because you look up to them, and then they do opposite of what they're saying. Now again, everybody might have an addiction. I can give him now the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was hard for him. But that's exactly what we're trying to bring out over here today. If something is hard for you, don't speak about it. Speak about something which you're able to do. I want to read it for you inside. Now, Rabotai, you have to understand, halachically speaking, is it mutar to smoke? It's asur, Rabotai. Ikra hadin, it's asur to smoke. There's no doubt that a person is allowed to smoke. A person is not allowed to smoke. But Rabotai, what happens if a person started 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and it's hard for them to come out? Not that it's allowed, Rabotai, we're just giving them time to be able to recuperate, to be able to come out of that stage. Everybody has come out of their slump at one time. But to say that it's mutar, it cannot be mutar only because of the dangers that's involved in smoking. Now again, Rabotai, I do not want to make this a whole thing about smoking. I don't want people to get the wrong idea, Rabbi. We see people live to 100 years old, 120. Yes, even when I'm not saying no. But we need to understand, we need to guard our health. And the Torah says a person has to guard his health very much. And there's an obligation for us to guard our health. In any event, Rabotai, again, we have to understand, the reason a lot of us, or maybe not a lot of us, but the reason why people in general get turned off from Yiddishkeit is because of what I'm about to read for you today. They say something, but they don't do what they say. And that turns us off because you look up to them, they're your role model, you want to be like them, and then you see that they're not doing it. So then you say, so what did he just say? So what he said right now was not important. So why in the world am I following what he's saying? Etc. and so on and so on. I'm going to read for you the halakha like this. Hagorem lechavero lasot mitzvah. If a person causes his friend to do a mitzvah, Kigon, he gives us one small example. Sha'amar lo, he says to him, Nashkim baboker lasot mitzvah. Get up in the morning to do a mitzvah. Chova alav lashkim techila. Guys, only one small example that he's bringing down over here. If you want to tell your friend in the morning tomorrow, get up and go down in the shul, or why don't you go down in the shul, whatever the situation might be, he says over here, Chova alav lashkim techila. And we don't see this, Rabotai. It's an obligation on the guy that's saying to the other guy, get up. He has to get up first. Don't say something that you're not doing. Don't try to be a person that preaches but does not practice. And Rabotai, we see it a lot. We see it a lot and we get turned off from these things. And then we say what kind of Torah Chas v'Shalom we have. Or what kind of rabbis we have. No, Rabotai, that's what the rule is very simple. It's not what kind of Torah, not what kind of the rabbis. That's not the problem. We are the problem. Because we buy into everything people say, not checking if what they're saying is real or not. That's the problem. Why don't you go and check it out? Maybe what the rabbi said, maybe he didn't read it right, or maybe he read it right, maybe you misunderstood what the rabbi said. Rabotai, a person has to be able to see the words, or it has to make sense, or it has to come from a Kal V'chomer, or from a Kol Shikin. There has to be some form of learning that where is the rabbi getting it from. And then you're not going to have this problem of being turned off, even when he doesn't do it. And when I started in the beginning, I had a very long beard, a long peyot. I at one point even wear a bekasha with those gartels, Rabotai. When we just listen to people blindly, you go very extreme, not knowing what's right, what's wrong. And we get turned off very quickly. That's why a person has to educate himself. Knowledge is power, Rabotai. Especially when you have the Torah knowledge, you have all the power in the world. That's what he also brings out over here, Rabotai. He says in Masechet Nedar Daf Chet Amud Aleph, Amar Rav Gidel Amar Rav. Rav Gidel said in the name of Rav, HaOmer lechaveru nashkim v'nishne perik zeh. If a person tells his friend, let's get up in the morning and let's learn this perik, alav v'lashkim, on him, he first has to get up. He first has to do it and then go learn with him. You can't tell somebody to do something when you yourself are not doing it. And it's a very big lesson, Abutai. I have to say it carefully. It's a very big lesson for us as rabbis, or as educators, or as mentors, however you want to look at us. It doesn't matter. It's very important that whatever we preach, we live up to it. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to be careful when I say this also. Parents have to be careful when they tell their children something. If we as parents are not doing it, yes, we want the best for our children, but you're being a hypocrite. You're telling your child not to do X, Y, and Z while you are doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, but it's bad for you. What you're doing, you're going to tell the child. So why are you doing it? You have to understand, it doesn't, in the brain, the wires, they don't connect. I understand if you're going through it and you want to come out of it and you say, let's go through it together, it's hard for me. It's one thing. But to try to tell a person to do something when you yourself are not doing it, why in the world would I want to listen to such a person? That's what he says over here. It's a chovah on a person to get up first. So before you educate a person, right? A person davens 8 o'clock minyan, and he starts telling another guy, listen, why don't you daven Netz? Netz is important. That's sunrise. Go daven. Yeah, if you opened your mouth, now you have to go daven Netz. So the thing is today, right? It's a lot of Shalom Bayit classes and there's a lot of Torah that bli and hara. Rabotai, all these things that are being taught, we're teaching, right? We're educated. We're giving over this information, but are we doing what we're giving over? And that's a very big problem. It's not only the education of Rabotai. AI could teach you that. Google can teach you that. You have you have this Siri could teach you that. It's also Rabotai about having an educator or a rabbi or a mentor that actually lives up to what he says and not just says what's written in the books. It is very, very critical. Rabotai, I'm telling you, you don't understand. When a person every single day, what we see with our eyes, how many people get turned off from religion? How many people drop this, drop that, don't want to continue doing this? Why? Just out of nowhere? No, Rabotai, because they see it's fake. And why is it fake? Because we say something and we don't do it. So there's like, well, if it was real, why aren't you doing it? So basically, we're the ones that are causing the Chil Hashem. We're the ones that are causing a desecration of Hashem's name. By saying, don't speak in Shul, but we are speaking Chas v'Shalom. Somebody one time told me, Rabbi, well, what about the rabbi that sits in the front all day? He's talking. If the halakha says you're not allowed to talk, why is he talking during Chazar Tashat, or doing the Sefer Torah, or doing Kaddish, or doing whatever it is? I said, just because he has a black hat and a black suit and a white shirt, what makes you think he's what, special? What, he's an exception? If anything, he should be more quiet. And Rabotai, that's the problem. This is where we fall. When we have no right leaders, Rabotai, I want to start speaking about certain sects where there's no right leaders, people start behaving whichever way they want. They start becoming extreme or less extreme, or they throw everything off. Or Rabotai, you need to have a leader. You need to follow one rabbi. Choose yourself. That's what he says. Ta'aseh lecha rav. Doesn't say 500 rabbanim, Rabotai. Make yourself a rabbi and make sure that rabbi is well known, very well versed in halacha, in Gemara. He's a very big Talmud Chacham. And following Rabotai, we have them. I don't want to start saying the names because I'm afraid if I don't say one, somebody's going to get upset. But we have them today. All you got to do is you got to search. You got to search. So that's over here we see the importance that before you want to go ahead and rebuke somebody, you have to make sure that you yourself are doing it first. And that's what it's also brought down in Masech Baba Batra in Daf Samach Amud Bet. Kishot asmicha ve'achar kach kishot acheru. Before you try to adorn other people, make sure you adorn yourself first. Meaning, before you rebuke other people about a certain midah that they have, make sure you don't have that midah. Make sure you don't have that character trait. You know, sometimes you have, people don't, I don't know if people realize what does it mean to judge somebody. Because there's a difference between judging somebody or finding out a fact in order to know what's going on. And a lot of people automatically think, why are people judging me? By you saying, why are people judging me, you just judge them because they judged you. Maybe they were not judging you. How do you know they're judging you? And people don't have that real fine line of what does it mean? Why are people judging me? People don't judge you. Sometimes people don't have clarity. So they might ask you, is this and this, did this and this happen? In order to get a better understanding. Was this your wife in the car? I'm not saying, Chasam, that this was not your wife. I'm asking. I'm asking. Did you by accident go to McDonald's to use the bathroom? Or Chas Shalom, was it you that I saw eating not kosher food? Again, Rabotai, there's a very big difference by saying, you judged me. Oh, that's it. You judged me. What did I... Who judged who, Rabotai? And this is the problem. Before you could say, you judged me, you have to make sure that you're not judging anybody else. And that's what the Gemara Masech Baba Batra says. First, you have to make sure that your character traits are in a straight line, and only then can you start telling other people what they're doing is right or wrong. But if you see, unfortunately, it's just the opposite. We'll tell a person, don't curse, but you just cursed. Don't judge, but you're judging. You yourself judge. So that's what, Rabotai, we have to be very careful with this character, with this midah of trying to tell other people what to do while we ourselves are not doing it. Because what's going to happen, Rabotai, besides the Chil Hashem, which is a very big thing, you turn people off from religion. And it doesn't have to be religion, it can be anything else in life. It can be working out. You tell a child the importance of doing push-ups, but you yourself don't do it. The importance of getting educated, but you yourself don't do it. Who's going to want to listen, Rabotai? Who's going to want to listen? You want to listen to people with success stories, not with people that are couch potatoes sitting at home and telling you how to become a success story. Rabotai, the next thing he brings down over here, and he says like this: "V'gadol scharo shel hagorem lechaver לעשות mitzvah yoter min ha'oseh et hamitzvah be'atzmo." Rabotai says like this. Listen to this very carefully. Great is the reward for the one that causes somebody else to do the mitzvah more than the person doing the mitzvah himself. Now I want to give a small recap to this, not a recap, but he brings down in Biur Halacha, he says like this: כיוון שדיברנו בתחילת ההלכה שעל המעשה את חבר למצווה להקדים תחילה, since we spoke in the previous halacha, what I just spoke about a few minutes ago regarding when you cause somebody else to do a mitzvah, you have to be the one first doing that mitzvah. Now he goes on to explain נכתוב בקיצור בגודל מעלת המעשה את חברו לדבר mitzvah. Now he says, I'm going to write in short the great reward a person gets when he causes his friend to do a mitzvah. Now, we need to just try to see something over here. To be able to tell a person, let's put it like this: I want to tell a person, give tzedakah to a certain institution, but I'm not giving it, so don't say it. So why are you saying something that you're not doing? Or I tell a person, learn Torah an hour a day or 15 minutes a day, but I'm not doing it. So why am I opening up my mouth? And over here he's saying that in order to be able to come to the second law, that whenever you tell a person, whenever you cause a person to do a mitzvah, and you get the reward more than what he's getting while he's doing the mitzvah, that's when, Rabotai, that if you went ahead and you do what you're telling the other person to do. Not when you just preach, but you don't practice. And that's what he brings down over here, Rabotai. He says like this. In Masech Baba Batra Daftet Amud Aleph Amur, they said, Gadol ha'maaseh yoter min ha'osek. Great is the one that causes somebody to do the mitzvah more than the one that's actually doing the mitzvah. Again, this only comes after you yourself are doing that mitzvah. So I can't tell a person stop cursing while I myself am cursing. Or I can't tell a person don't speak in shul, or a woman can tell her friend don't be immodest while she herself is immodest. Or don't speak Lashon Hara. It's not nice to speak Lashon Hara about other people, but while she herself speaks Lashon Hara. Don't judge other people, but while you yourself are judging everybody. And this is Rabotai, and the whole point over here is we need to start working on ourselves. You know, we are in this world trying to help the world, but ourselves. But like the Rav Chaim says, Rabotai, it all starts, if you want to help the world, it all starts with you first. When it goes with you, then you're able to help everybody else. But trying to help everybody else, but not yourself, it's not going to work that way backwards. So that's what he says in Rabotai Masechet. Baba Batra Gadol ha'maaseh yoter min ha'osek. Great is the one that causes somebody to do the mitzvah than the one that's actually doing the mitzvah. It's brought down in another Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin, Daf Tzadik Tet Amud Bet. Mevu'ar sha'maaseh et chaver la'asot mitzvah. If somebody causes his friend to do a mitzvah, ma'aleh alav ki'ilu asa be'atzmo ayin sham. Masechet Sanhedrin says that when you cause somebody else to do a mitzvah, it's as if you yourself did that mitzvah. Ubababa Kama Daf Tzadik Bet Amud Bet, it says, Am Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachman Am Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Shmuel, the son of Nachman, said the name of Rabbi Yochanan. My dichtiv, what does this verse mean? Yichye Reuven ve'al yamud ve'zod liYuda. What does this pasuk mean that Reuven should live and should not die, and this should be for Yehuda? So listen to how he explains the pasuk. Kol otan 40 shana shayu Yisrael b'midbar, all the 40 years that the Jewish people were in the midbar, in the desert, hayu atzmotav shel Yehuda migulgalin ba'aron ba'aretz. Yehuda's bone, they were rolling in the aron, in the coffin, while they were traveling. Ad sheba Moshe, until Moshe Rabbeinu came, ubikesh rachamim, and he begged mercy on Yehuda. Amar lefanav ribono shel olam, he said before Kadosh Baruch Hu, Master of the universe, mi garam liReuven sheyodeh. Listen to this carefully. We all know what Reuven did by changing the beds of Yaakov. We also know what Yehuda did with Tamar. So Moshe Rabbeinu tells Hashem, who caused Reuven to confess the sin, that what he did was wrong by changing the beds? Who caused him? It was Yehuda that caused him. By Yehuda admitting, saying that it was from me that Tamar became pregnant. Reuven said, if he can admit, I can also admit. Rabotai, immediately, miyad shema Hashem kol Yehuda, etc. Ki yaven sham. You have to look into that Gemara over there. But the Gemara brings down over there, it goes on at length, saying, since Yehuda caused Reuven to admit, listen to this carefully. Reuven, right now, is in an aron, in a coffin. His bones are turning. They're all broken apart. But Moshe Rabbeinu says, who caused Reuven to admit to what he did was wrong? It was Yehuda, even after he died. It was really Yehuda. Because when he admitted to Tamar that he slept with her, since he admitted, Reuven admitted. Since Yehuda confessed, that caused Reuven to confess. Immediately, Rabotai, the Gemara brings down over there that Hashem heard the prayer of Moshe Rabbeinu, and all of the bones of Yehuda, everything went into place. It was like a normal human being once again. So that's what we see over here, Rabotai. And it's explained, Shagorem lechavero la'asod mitzvah, he migina alav ganken. And from what's explained, Rabotai, not only do you get reward more than the one that's doing the mitzvah, but even more than this, he says when you cause your friend to do a mitzvah, that causing your friend to do a mitzvah protects you also. So you have a double advantage. And this is why, Rabotai, it's very, very important to try to give merit to other people, to educate them in berachot, in Torah, in mitzvot, etc. But in order to do that, we also have to start. We have to be the first ones doing it. But I want to conclude over here, just we need to take from this, Bezrat Hashem B'Neder, that the importance of causing other people to do mitzvot, at the same time, Rabotai, when you cause other people to do mitzvot, you have to make sure that you yourself are living up to that standard before you can tell them what to do. And the greater reward that comes from one that causes another person to do mitzvah, more than the person actually doing the mitzvah himself. And like we said also, that it also protects you as if you yourself are doing the mitzvah. So we see over here a very important concept, important point, that before we preach, we need to practice. Rabotai, I would want to conclude with this, Shara Tzion in Otam Bed. This, everything that we've been saying up to now, was when it's coming to doing mitzvot. But what about the other way, Rabotai? I didn't want to really read it, but it just hit me right now. Let me read it for you. V'hamonei mechavero la'asot mitzvah. But what happens if you hold your friend back from doing a mitzvah? Avano gadol minoso. His punishment is going to be so great that he's not going to be able to withhold that punishment. Usually when Hashem Chas v'Shalom punishes a person, he gives to that sickness a healing. To this punishment, he says he's not going to be able to withhold that punishment because he held the person back from doing a mitzvah. והוא אחד מהדברים המעכבים את התשובה כמבואר ברמב"ם פרק ד' מהלכות תשובה. Rabotai, he says over here also that this is one of the things that holds back a person from being able to do teshuvah. Also Masechet Eruvin Daf Hei Amud Bet, also in Masechet Shekalim Perek Aleph Mishnah Hey, Mivur shelo yirfei yidei oseh mitzvah. People should not loosen, people should not weaken the hands of the people that actually are doing the mitzvot. Now I want to just try to come out of this box a little bit. I want to just try to go a little bit an extra mile, like they say, just to try to bring it to reality. What does this mean? What does this mean, Rabotai? Not to hold people back from doing mitzvot, because when a person wants to do mitzvot and you hold him back from doing a mitzvah, you're going to be punished to such an extent where you're not going to be able to absorb that hit. Why do you need it? And to make it a little bit more practical, you have a religious guy, you have a religious person, he doesn't go to certain places. All of a sudden you tell the guy, please come to my party, whatever, it might be Chodo, it might be his brother, it might be his family member. Now you're putting, okay, he can say no, whatever reason he cannot say no. But right now you're keeping him away from doing mitzvot. By him being in your filthy party, you're keeping him from doing mitzvot. Or you ask a friend, let's go to the movie theaters. Without you, he wouldn't go. Or you ask him, let's go to the beach. Rabotai, if people can't say no, let's say for whatever reason, the peer pressure is too much, they can't say no. But you're holding them back from doing mitzvot. So you might ask him, Rabbi, how's that possible? What would he do when he is home and by not coming with me to this place where I'm not supposed to be? How is he going to be doing mitzvot? Very simple, Rabotai, because Chazal tells, the preacher says, that even when a person sits back and he does nothing, he has an option to do something wrong. And he sits back and he does nothing wrong. He wants to do the very, he wants to do it. But he said, I can't. Hashem says, that in itself is doing the mitzvah. Why? Refraining from sinning is also a mitzvah, Rabotai. Because there is a mitzvah to stay away from bad things. That's what the pasuk says, Tu mirav aseh tov. Remove yourself from bad and then do good. That's why we have to be very careful right? A person wants to make a Shabbat Chatan, he wants to make a Yeshua, he wants to make a, I don't know, Bar Mitzvah party on Shabbat, right? Friday, they want to make whatever it might be. You're inviting people to come. You have to make sure people do not attend by car. You have to make sure because of you that people are going to come now, they're going to start doing more Averos. Had you not invited them to that place, they would probably sit home and go to sleep. But now that you invited them, only God knows what's going on, Rabotai. They'll come by car, they might smoke, they might be on their phone, because what is the person going to do in the restaurant? Sit there 3 hours and listen to your shmuzim? What, Rabotai? So in reality, you are keeping people back from doing mitzvot, even by them doing nothing, Rabotai. It's doing mitzvot. That's he says over here, Rabotai. A person has to go ahead and he has to be very careful to not to chas v'shalom ever hold people back from doing mitzvot. And another point over here, very important point, when you have a person wanting to go to learn Torah, and his friend or a family member or somebody else says, no, don't go, spend some time with me. Rabotai, that's something you don't want to do. If they're not needed, if it's not an emergency, let them go and learn Torah. Let them be able to go ahead and do the mitzvah. This, Rabotai, we don't understand. This we think, okay, so big deal. He did because of me. He didn't learn Torah. Because of me, he didn't say bracha. Because of me, he ate not kosher food. Rabotai, if it's because of you, like he says over here, avano gadol minoso. His punishment is going to be greater than him going to be able to take the hit. That's what, Rabotai, a person has to have his head on his shoulders, and he has to know, you want to do something wrong, Rabotai, you want to do it. Listen, you know, you'll have to account. You could do teshuvah tomorrow. You know, you can go ahead and try to speak to Hashem. It's you and Hashem. But why get other people involved in your mess? This is why people don't understand when they make a party, right? So they're making a bar mitzvah, or they're making a bat mitzvah, or they're making a wedding, or brit milah party, and they make mixed dancing, and they make all these shtuyot, Rabotai. What are you doing? You're causing masses. You're causing masses to sin. How do you think you're going to do teshuvah on that? You're going to just come on there and say, Hashem, forgive me? We need to know, Rabotai, we believe, right? We know, forget about belief. We know a fact. When you help somebody, when you give somebody a merit to do the mitzvah, the reward is greater for you than him. But also, Rabotai, when you cause somebody to do Navera, he's doing the Avera, but your punishment is going to be greater than you're going to be able to take that hit. Why do you need it? You don't need it, Rabotai. Somebody wants to do something wrong, you tell them you can't hold yourself, whatever the situation might be, you go your way. If you can't talk him out of it, you go your way. But why bring other people? Why be accountable for other people that I don't even have to be accountable for? Rabotai, the Shulchan Aruch brings down, there's a halacha Shulchan Aruch, I forgot which siman right down. He brings down, actually it's been brought down in 2 places, that if you invite guests to your house and they don't say bracha, you're making them sin. Because you're giving them food and they eat without a bracha. Nevertheless, there's many ways that you could come out of it. If it's a person who's going to get angry with you, etc., let him just eat it. Or say a bracha out loud, he'll hear you. Or ask him nicely. There's ways how to go about the whole situation. It's not a halachic shiur. Maybe ask your rabbis, Rabotai, they can educate you on that. But Rabotai, we have to try to understand and internalize that there is such a thing where we give zechut to the rabbim. We merit the rabbim. But at the same time, also remember the other way where we dismerit the Rambam, the rabbi, meaning the many, where we give merit to the public or where we dismerit the public. And we feel that sometimes we give merit, but if we look at the dismerit part, it's much, much more. So that's why we have to be very careful to never chas v'shalom come to a situation where we don't allow other people to be able to use their full potential in serving Hashem. If anything, you want to allow them to grow. Give them everything, anything and everything that's possible. Somebody told me something fascinating. What was that? There was a child trying to keep Shabbat. And the grandmother said to the child, give me something from the room. The child said, it's Shabbat. How do you want me to give you? I can't see anything. It's dark. So the grandmother said, just turn on the light and give me something from the room. Where's your respect? The child said, I don't understand. Are you supposed to be teaching me how to keep Shabbat? Or how to desecrate Shabbat? I don't understand you. You're the older one, no? But that in reality, that's what we're doing. We're not allowing, not our children, not our peers, not our friends, not our family members around us to grow. Because we're always bringing them down to play, or we're inviting them to places where they're not supposed to be. Or we're asking them things to do that they're not supposed to do. And then we think we're righteous people. And then when we come Yom Kippur and we're going to ask Hashem to forgive us for all our sins. Rabotai, that in itself is another discussion. Not everything is forgiven. Not everything. The averos that you did between you and your friend are not forgiven. Chayav mitah, things that death penalty are not forgiven so easily, Rabotai. Yeah, certain averos are forgiven. But not everything. Do not make a mistake. Do not put yourself in a hole where you're going to have to start climbing out, which is going to take you years, Rabotai. Don't dig that hole and then start looking how to come out. On the other way around, Rabotai, learn how to climb up without looking down, so you can go higher and higher and higher. And while you're doing that, everybody around you is also going to want to grow with you. Rabotai, Be'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu give us the power, give us the strength that whatever we preach, we practice. But at the same time, Rabotai, to make sure not to hold people back from allowing their inner potential to come out and serve Hashem in their fullest way. Baruch Adonai Olam, Amen ve'Amen.